Welcome to episode 3 of Sorority Chat. Today's guest is Ivy Barton, who is a house director for Alpha Gamma Delta at the University of Central Oklahoma. Ivy and I had the pleasure of getting to know each other very well this past year while we served as co-facilitators for the Alpha Gamma Empower Leadership Program. I think Ivy is a great student, a really exemplary Alpha Gamma member, and so I just wanted her to come on and chat about her experience within her chapter and what she's taken away from that, how this is all parlaying into her new role as a house director at her chapter's facility. I think there's some interesting nuances there, and just in general, just talking about Greek life, and like I said, what she is pulling from it. So I think you will walk away with some really great nuggets, and you can hear the passion and excitement in her voice as she talks about her time within Alpha Gamma. Happy listening. Hey Ivy, thanks for joining me.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good.
Yes. So first of all, let me say congrats on graduating back in May.
Thank you. It's been crazy. It's been so exciting though too. It feels like crazy that I actually it's been 4 years since I got out of college, went to UCO, and now I'm graduated. So it's so crazy, but it's very exciting too.
Yeah, that's good. What a 4 years to go to college too. I mean, it always goes by in a blink, but this particular 4 years, I'm sure, has been even more interesting.
No, seriously, especially with starting during COVID, it's been absolutely crazy, but it's been so much fun too. So
yeah. So you are an Alpha Gamma from University of Central Oklahoma.
yes.
And so what was your degree in? What did you graduate with?
It was in psychology. It was a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. Yeah.
Okay. And then now you're going on to grad school, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I kind of going into college, I knew I wanted to major in psychology and get involved in psychology, but I never I always thought so many things in psychology were interesting. I never knew what I wanted to do. So up until my senior year, I was I don't know. I have no idea. And so I was senior year, I've got to figure this out. And I was involved in this organization called Psychi, which is an honor society for psychology students.
I've heard of that.
And they had this little meeting. They did monthly meetings, and each time they'd bring in a new guest speaker of another career that you could do in psychology. And so I went. This was the only one I'd been to all year because they never lined up, and it was the school psychology one. And I just learned so much about it, and I was I think I just got to pick something and then go with it and figure it out. And so from there on out, I was I'm going to do school psychology. And I just kept researching about it, kept looking at different schools. And it worked out where UCO had just started one in 2022. So it had been very recent. And so I was I'm just going to do that. I think it sounds really interesting. And I was there's no other way to figure out what you want to do other than trying it. So I applied to the UCO, which is where I got my undergrad, and I got accepted. And so I'm very excited for it. I have my first class today, tonight. And so I'm excited, but yeah, so that's how I got involved.
That's cool because it's your official first day of school at grad school.
I know.
So I think that's super interesting. Psychology is something that I believe it or not, in my line of work, I really probably could use too, right? To kind of understand the human psyche and all of that. So What exactly, as a school psychologist, what will you be doing with the students?
Yeah. So a lot of people usually get school counselor and school psychologist mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
A school psychologist does a lot of testing for students, and it will vary depending on if you're in elementary, middle, or high school. But specifically for elementary, it's a lot of testing. So it's for different learning abilities or learning disabilities. That's what you're testing them for. And so that's a lot of it. But there's also this other aspect of it that you get to kind of bring in and do the things that you're passionate about. And so I got to shadow a couple school psychologists this past year, and one of them did this parent support group where they talked about screen time and how that has effect on kids nowadays. And so you really get to bring in what you're passionate about too. So well, so much testing and like meeting with parents and getting students on IEPs, which are individualized education plans. Like it's so much of that, but it's also like you get to bring in the things you're passionate about. And so that's what I like about it because I love structure, but I also like love getting to just like talk to students and like build those relationships. And so I'm excited to like have kind of both sides because that's what I always wanted. I like variety, but like organization too. So I think that this would be like a really good fit. And I'm excited just to like get started, see how it is. And like I said, I've already shadowed. So I think I'm really gonna like it. So I'm excited.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, you can tell that you're very excited. And I
Yeah.
completely agree with the like want some structure, but then want to be able to like kind of get out there and be
Yes.
passionate as well. Um,
Yes.
so do all like elementary, middle, and high school, do they all tend to have like school psychologists? And of those, do you have an idea of where you'd like to land?
Yeah. So it really varies like on district. Or like so UCO, we're in Edmond, Oklahoma, and that's where we usually do a lot of like our shadowing during the program.
Yeah.
And Edmond schools, each of their schools, like all of their elementary schools, all of their middle schools, all of their high schools, they each have their own dedicated school psychologist, which is really, really awesome. And I think especially like nowadays, like coming after COVID, like those things are needed so much more, like testing for students and just like more support for students, I think is like so much needed now. But you can like hop over to a different district and it's like they have one for the whole district or they have one for like all elementary schools. And so it really differs where you go to on like how it depends like how many school psychologists you have. And it just depends on funding too. I wish it didn't, but it does. And so yeah, I think I would enjoy working in an elementary school where I was like designated for one school because I think there's like obviously pros and cons to like both, like being over multiple schools or being in one school. But I think I would like the like relationship aspect of being in one school and kind of like really just getting to know like that one school really well. So we'll see. That's what I feel like right now. But I haven't even started the program. Like I literally haven't even been to my first class. So who knows what I'll think like by the end of my 4 years because it's a 4 year program. So
Right,
we'll
right.
see. But
Yeah.
I'm just excited to like learn all the things about all of it. So we'll see.
Well, I think that's what you need if you're going to be putting in 4 years of schooling. You need to be excited and want to
Yeah.
learn and want to see where it takes you. So,
Yeah, I agree. Especially after 4 years of undergrad and going back for 4 more years, I'm like, I'm never gonna get out of school. But here I am. So
you feel like you're a glutton for punishment, just keep on going to school.
I know, seriously. And then I'll like be going to school still after I get out of like graduate school. Like I'm gonna go to school literally for the rest of my life, like being a school psychologist. So
Well, that's good. Good thing you're
yeah,
very smart and you like to learn. So,
yes.
you and I first connected, I guess it was roughly a year ago or so now.
Yeah. It was
Like
like around this time last year.
yeah. So for listeners that aren't familiar with the Alpha Gam Empower program, Ivy and I were both a part of this program. I was a facilitator for 2 years now, and Ivy was a participant the very first year that the program kicked off. And then last year, she and I worked together as co-facilitators with a cohort of students. And what this program does is it goes through a book on leadership principles and how it ties back to Alpha Gam's values and it's just an exemplary group of students that we got to work with. And so I really enjoyed working alongside Ivy and seeing her peer mentor the other folks that were in the group and just working alongside. And so that's why I asked you to come on, Ivy, because I think that you did such a great job with like leading your peers and now to see you as you're like growing and going into grad school. And I just kind of want to talk about that, like talk about how Alpha Gam like played into your interest in leadership and built those leadership skills for you and just in general like what was your sorority experience like at UCO?
Yeah. So coming to UCO, like I said, I came in 2020, so it was very different. I think though it was like different in a good way for me specifically because like COVID like kind of like started off in March of 2020. And so like everything kind of like shut down after that. Like all of my like high school senior things were like canceled. It was a sad time for me, I feel like. And so like coming to college, like I was like more excited than I felt like most people would have been like any other year because like I had missed so much that I was like, I'm just ready to get back around people and like doing things because I had been like cooped up in a house for the past like 6 months. So
Yeah.
I like come to college and I'm just excited to do literally anything. And so I had always knew I wanted to go through sorority recruitment here. It's not like a huge sorority recruitment here, but there's still, we have 6 sororities on campus. So I knew that it's something I wanted to be a part of. And I had known like older people that have done it. And so I was really excited for that. Other than that, like I didn't really know what else I wanted to do. Like I knew I wanted to be in a sorority so badly. And so I went through sorority recruitment. It was completely virtual. So the first day we had like watched videos of like the sororities and they like I can't even really remember them. It's such a blur, but like we watched videos and then we had to like cut houses that day, which is like crazy to
Oh,
me. Like I had
uh-huh.
talked to absolutely no one and I had to like cut houses. So I was like, okay. And then so the rest was virtual too. And I knew the whole time that I wanted to be an Alpha Gam. I had like met girls before recruitment that were an Alpha Gam and I was like, I think I want to be there. But I also went in like having an open mind. Like I wasn't like, I'm gonna have Alpha Gam or nothing. Like I
Yeah.
had an open mind, but I knew in the back of my head I was like, I think I'd really like being an Alpha Gam. And it worked out where I got to be an Alpha Gam. And so that was really, really fun. And I like went into college also like having no leadership experience and like not a whole lot of confidence in myself in terms of like doing anything like that. In high school, I got involved in like our student council like senior year, but other than that, like I was a pretty like go to school student, go back home. Like I wasn't super involved in high school. And so like being involved was already a new thing for me. And then so like leadership on top of that was also incredibly new. And so my like new member process was so awesome. I had so many good girls like surrounding me, supporting me. And I had this one specific older member, she was a senior at the time. She had like come up to me one day after a new member meeting and she was like, I think you should be on exec this next year. That's like all she said. And I was like, I don't even know what exec is. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so I didn't like really think about it that much. And then we had our elections a couple weeks later. And this was still my freshman year, keep in mind. And I got nominated for vice president of philanthropy. And at the time, I was just like, knew nothing. So I just like kept myself on the ballot. You have the option to take yourself off if you like don't feel like that would be a good fit for you. But I was like, everyone was like, keep yourself on. And I was like, I don't know. And so like I just kept myself on. And I was up against a few other girls and I ended up getting it, which like I did not think. Like in my wildest dreams, I was like, I'm not gonna get this. Like there are other girls that are older than me that are gonna get this. And then I got it and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to kick it into gear. Like I actually have to do something now. And
Yeah.
so I got vice president of philanthropy and then it kind of like all just went from there. Like I had so much support just that year in vice president of philanthropy that I kept going. And I think if I wouldn't have had that, I don't think I would have kept going because like I was so scared. I was this freshman that was like, I cannot do this. I have no experience doing any of this. Like, I don't know why anybody would have voted for me. Like, I had imposter syndrome so badly. So I think with no support, like, I would have not gotten through it. So that's how it all started.
Well, I mean, what a testament to like the camaraderie that came from your chapter to kind of like nudge you along and encourage you to do that. Because I mean,
Yeah.
that is a lot to just leap and try as a freshman, especially after having virtual recruitment, right? It wasn't your normal experience of just like gobs of energy with other people and really connecting. So
Right.
well, that's great. I'm glad that it set you on that path and that it led us to be here today.
Yeah, it's been very awesome. Like I said, I learned so much through vice president of philanthropy, and it just set me up for so many more positions that I held. And like at this point too, like I look back, and they're not even like positions; they were genuinely like experience that I had that changed like my entire life. And you would think like, oh, like what is vice president of recruitment going to do for you later on? But like there are so many things that I like learned in that position that I still use today. And it's not even that long ago. I'm like still used today. It was a couple years ago, but like it's seriously like I've learned so much. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think you don't realize the transferable skills until you're doing something that you can tie back to that position. There's no way to know until it's happening, like how it's benefiting you and the good it's doing. I had a friend who was the VP of recruitment for his fraternity, and he said that it ended up helping him get his first job out of college because he was able to say, I grew my chapter from this number of members to this number of members, and here were the things that I did to do that. And so it showed like he could work towards a goal, like a quantifiable goal, and then break down the steps of what led to that success. and then he got this sales job because they were able to see, okay, you can work with the kind of stuff that we do here, and focus on your goals. So definitely transferable.
Yeah. I feel like with each position too, like there's like specific, like an overarching thing that I like learned within it. Like within
Yeah.
vice president of philanthropy, it was a lot of like planning events. And so like I learned
Yeah.
really well that year, like event planning and like how to like put it all together because it's hard. Like you think like, oh, like I have to put on this event. Like I just need to like make sure that the members know the time and like I have the place set up. Like there's so much that goes into it that you don't realize until like my first event, like it was crazy, but it's just because like I was learning and like I didn't you don't realize all the things have to come together in order for it to be successful. Like it worked out. I had so much support. Everyone helped me, but like I learned so much from that one in order to like make my next one so much better and more organized. And then like vice president of recruitment, like I learned so much about how to like facilitate and how to stay organized. And that's like the biggest thing surrounding that. And I think I was like okay at it before, but like I learned so much from it and got so much better at it. And then like being chapter president this past year, like I learned how to have like difficult conversations and like open communication with members. And you just learn so many different things like through each position. So it's been a really cool experience.
Talking about having difficult conversations, like I could get on a soapbox about this. I know you've heard me talk about this before, but I taught a soft skills class at the University of Kentucky for a little while, and that was one of our modules. We would spend a week or two going through like how to have difficult conversations, ways to like have in your back pocket of like how to address those, because like it or not, difficult conversations are going to come up professionally and personally in your life. And if you're not equipped for it, it's going to be a whole lot harder than if you have some tools that you use and some ways that you approach it, and it can go a lot better for you. So yeah, it's good to get that kind of experience, because I don't think enough people put a focus on that
Yeah.
until it's too late.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like it's kind of too like I like learned so many different things like difficult conversations, but I kind of learned them just by like doing them and
Yeah.
figured out like how the conversation went. Like if I felt like it didn't go very well, like what can I do next time to make it go better? So like there were so many difficult conversations that I came out and I was like, oh my gosh, I could have handled that so much better. Or like, oh my gosh, I could have done this. And like that would have like made the conversation a lot more like structured or like made them feel a certain, you know. And so it's so much trial and error. Like that's what I like during my chapter presidency. Like it was so much of like, I'm just gonna try it. And then if it doesn't work, I'm gonna try it a different way because like you don't know until you try most of the time. And that's how I feel like most of college is, like even outside of sorority experience, like you just have to try things. And if they don't work, like try it again a different way the next time. So
Yep. And I'll tell you a secret, it doesn't stop after college, right? You're going to be dealing with it again, personally and professionally, over and over. And so to have that attitude of like, yes, I want this to work out, but if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world, I think is really, really beneficial. And good for you for having that self-reflection when
yeah.
you've had those difficult conversations to figure out how to make it better next time.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
So you've talked about like all these different roles that you've had within the chapter, and then how did you come to get involved in Empower? Like what led you there, or what made you interested in getting involved in that leadership program?
Yeah. So during like my college experience, like I said, I had like served on EC like my whole like pretty much my whole time in Alpha Gam. And there had always been like so for a while they did like the Academy of Collegian Officers where like different officers would go to like it would be like a destination. Like I think one year they did it in Atlanta potentially. And like we sent our new member and member experience. And then like the next year we had convention. And I had like always been like on EC, but never got to go to those things just because like I wasn't the person that was sent to do it.
Mhm.
And I was like, I want to like meet other Alpha Gams outside of my chapter. Like I love my chapter so much, but like I just like I want to meet other Alpha Gams. Like that's what this is all about too. Because we have like sisters all across the nation and in Canada. And so that's like really where like my passion for like meeting other Alpha Gams came. And then the following year, like going into my junior year, this summer, they announced the Empower Leadership Program, and I had gotten an email about it or something, and I immediately applied. Like I didn't even hesitate about it because I was like, this is what I've been like wanting, so like
Yeah.
I'm gonna apply and we'll see what happens. And then I ended up getting into it, and I had Amy Stack as my
Yes.
facilitator, which she was like the most perfect person to be like my first year facilitator. And so it was really awesome. And I met the chapter president from Purdue at the time, which was like really random that she was in my group too, because I was chapter president at the time or going into my first term of it. And so that's how I got involved. And it was just it's been a really cool experience to do it now twice.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really glad that they pulled you guys back in as peer mentors to work with the new round of participants. I think that was a really great thing to add. And like I said, I enjoyed having you like co-facilitate with me. And just I don't know, I think we brought some different perspectives to the students and them to us as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it was a cool experience because I got to do it like as a participant and I learned so much and I got to meet so many alpha gams. And then it's like I got to go back and I got to use everything that I learned and like pour it back out into like members that were younger than me. And it's just a really cool experience because that's what alpha game is all about is like learning and then like continuing to like push that knowledge onto others as well. So it's just been really cool because like then I also got to like I said, I learned a lot about facilitating, being vice president of recruitment, and then you get to like learn that skill a little bit more in like a different aspect too. So it's just really cool.
yeah, no, well said on the trickling that information out to your chapter members so that you're kind of
Mhm.
creating a ripple effect from your time in the program. It affected you greatly and you got a lot of benefit. And so then sharing that with others is the next good thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
So now you've kind of come full circle and you are acting as house director at UCO, right?
Yes, at
Okay,
my initiating chapter. Yep.
let's talk about that. So, first, tell me, because I'm obviously like a geek for sorority houses since that's my livelihood. So, tell me about what kind of chapter facility you guys have there on campus.
Yes. So we had a new chapter facility built in 2017. So
Okay.
before that, we had had our old one for as long as I can remember, um, which isn't that long because I just got an alpha game in 2020, so not that long. But we got it in 2017, and I came in 2020, and so we've had a new one. It can hold up to 36 members living in it. We have a chef that cooks all of our meals, which we're so thankful for. It's like the best thing ever.
Yes.
I like just this past summer, like each summer when I go home from Alpha Gam and have to like cook my own meals, I'm like, I'm learning good things. Like I need to know how to cook, but like this is hard. Like I like have to like make time to cook things. And like here at Alpha Gam, like you literally go into the kitchen and like dinners from like 5 to 6. You always know that. You go in, you get your food, and you could leave, and you're in and out in like 15 minutes. And so it's like it's weird, but it's the best thing ever. So that's a little bit about our house. We love it so much. We're so thankful for it. But yeah.
And so then as house director, like what are some of your responsibilities as it relates to the chapter and the members and what's this role going to look like for you?
Yeah. So I am like a part-time house director since I'm
Okay.
in graduate school. So it worked out really well where like it's not full-time because I wouldn't have been able to do it if it was full-time. But since it's part-time, it works out really well because I can still go to graduate school and it's not like too overwhelming. But a lot of my like job will be like kind of like the maintenance of the house. So like if the ice machine breaks, like calling the person out here to get that fixed, or like communicating with the house cleaners, like when to come and when not to come. It's a lot of like genuinely like just managing the house. And so like there's that aspect of it, but there's also like I know so many of the girls in the house still, so just like having those relationships with them, and just being someone that they can always come to with any problems or questions or concerns or anything like that. So there's kind of like two parts to it, but those are kind of like the main things that I'll be doing, which I'm excited for because I think I'm going to learn. I'm always like trying to like put myself in new situations to learn new things. And
Mhm.
so like I was like, I'm gonna do this, like it works out, like I'm going to graduate school, it's a part-time position, like, and I'm gonna learn a lot about like how to manage a house. And I don't know how to do that because I've lived here for the past 3 years.
Oh,
And so now I get to like continue living here, but also get to like learn things while I'm doing it. So I'm very excited for it.
I think that's so fun for you because I know we talked about this, the possibility of it coming when we were together in May. And so
Yeah.
you were updating me like off camera that it all happened really quickly this summer. And so then I think it's great. Like you said, it supports you being able to go to grad school. It gives you a spot to live. You're familiar with it as the job. Is it hard for you or awkward at all that you aren't that removed from the chapter members? And so now you're in this position of like authority over the house?
Uh-huh. I This is like a question that I like have talked to myself about too. Like I'm like, like how am I gonna balance like being these girls' friends? Because I know every single one of them. Like there's not one of them like I was just in the chapter with them literally last year. And so I was like, how am I gonna balance like friendship, but also like I am like now in this role where like sometimes I'll like have different conversations or like make hard decisions. And so I kind of like relate it back to like my chapter presidency because it's like kind of the same dynamic. Like I have like this like power, but
Yeah.
it's like also like I am your friend. And so like I kind of am handling it kind of like how I handled chapter president. Like when business needed to be done, like we handled it and I feel like everyone did it in a really good way. And then like when there was no business to be handled, we were friends and it was awesome. And so I think it like works out honestly really well because I was with these girls. Like I was just chapter president for these girls. So they like know the dynamic. And now
Mhm.
I'm just switching over to house mom. And so it's like I think it's been honestly really easy. And I think it's just gonna get easier if I continue in this role because like girls are going to like circle out and I'm not going to like know the members as well. So it's like, I think it's going to get easier too. So it's like been totally fine so far, but I've also been here only for like now 2 weeks with them. So we'll
Sure.
see how it goes, but it's been
Well,
really good so
I
far.
can certainly see it being a benefit, right? Because they are familiar with you. You have that camaraderie, you have the relationship, and you have served as president before. So they're used to you being in a leadership role. And so it
Yeah.
could be very easy just to roll into that. But I was just curious if it felt funny at all. So,
Yeah. I like find myself like, cause within here, like I have like my own room and then I have my own bathroom and living
yeah.
room and kitchen. So like I have the whole setup. So like before when I was a member and I just had like my room, like I was always like outside of my room, like in the living room or in the kitchen. But now that I like have it all in here, I find myself like not really going out there and then kind of being like, oh my gosh, do I go out there? Like, or are they gonna think I'm weird? Like, I don't want them to think that I'm like, I don't know. It's like a weird balance, like you said. Like I don't want them to be like annoyed or anything, but yeah, so it's been nice to have like everything in here though that I need so that I kind of like give them their space and let them do their thing because it could be like weird for them too, kind of like she was just in the chapter, like we want to do our own thing now. So like we're figuring out the balance, but it's been fun so far.
Is it like that TikTok where it's, am I too old to be here?
Yeah,
That
that's what it's feeling like currently, but I'm also like I'm 22 years old. Like I'm not old, but I'm like
one.
I feel like it just because I'm not in the chapter anymore and like now I'm in this role. So it's
You're
weird.
just sorting it out. Like you said, it's new. You guys will definitely find the balance and
Yeah.
figure that out. And so I'm sure they want time with you, and then you also need your time alone. And so you have that capability with that suite that you have set up. So that's great.
Yeah. And they like schedules get so busy anyways that like I don't even think it's gonna be an issue that I'm gonna have to think about so much because like I'm gonna be out doing stuff. They're gonna be very busy. Like they're in like recruitment season right now. They haven't had recruitment yet. Their recruitment doesn't happen until Labor Day. So like they're still
Oh,
like
okay.
very much gearing up for recruitment. And so like they're crazy busy. And so I think it will just work out anyways, just how it's supposed to because like we'll all be doing stuff differently all the time.
Now, some campuses incorporate the house directors in recruitment. So will you be a part of some of the parties, or you're not involved at all?
I'm not involved at all.
Okay.
They like during the house tour, they like show them my suite. They don't like come in or anything.
Sure.
But they like say this is where our house mom lives. But other than that, like I have no involvement. I might be there for like bid day just because like we have like a parent meeting and sometimes the house mom talks to like the parents. But like actual primary recruitment, I don't have any roles. So,
Okay.
but I'm very excited for them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Ivy, I've loved getting to chat with you. I have one last question, kind of on the fly here. What is your favorite collegiate, like Greek memory? Anything around Alpha Gam, sorority life? What sticks out to you the most?
Yeah. Honestly, I would say there's like so many things. I just thought of like so many different things. I have two, I have two things. So the first one is every single year, like after primary recruitment, we all like obviously have bid day. And bid day is like literally feels like Christmas at our chapter. It's the
Yeah.
like most exciting day ever. And just like bringing new women into the chapter is like so special. And like I didn't realize how like special it would. I thought it was like okay, like sophomore year is going to be the most special because it's so new. But each year it felt still like so special to bring new women into your chapter. Because like like your experience and like how much it changed you and you like feel so much excitement for like the women that are coming in that get to experience 4 years of the same thing that you experienced like it's like a feeling like no other like it's seriously the most special thing so I would say that day is like just so fun and then like the whole new member process just like watching them go through it it's like you remember yours and you're like this is it's just like the best thing ever and so I would say bid days like always one of the best memories each year and then I would also say like just the friends that I found within Alpha Gam, like, have truly like changed my life and been the best thing that happened to me within college in general. Like, I feel like coming into college, everyone talks about it, but like you, I like had friends in high school, but I feel like they were friends that like we did things together, we had things in common, we liked hanging out together, but I didn't ever feel like I was like fully known or seen until like I came to college and found these friends in Alpha Gam. I feel like they truly like know who I am and care about who I am. And it's not just like, oh, we are in Alpha Gam together, so we're friends. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's how we met, but like we're gonna be friends for the rest of our lives. So like the friends that I found have been like the best thing that like one of the best things that Alpha Gam has given me. So those two things are like the best and some of the greatest memories that I'll have and cherish forever.
Well, I think that's great. The friendship side of it, I mean, that's the most you can hope for by being involved in a Greek organization is making those lifelong connections.
I agree. It's one of the best things, and I think that's one of the biggest things that people talk about too. Coming into like sororities, they're like that's what they're looking for. Like people are looking for connection,
Yep.
and I think like if you give your chapter or sorority or like you give it a chance, then like it always gives back to you, and that's what we always say. So
Mhm. Yeah, no. Well, I'm excited for listeners to hear your story and hear your pearls of wisdom here. And so thanks for making time to come and talk with me.
yes, of course. Thank you.